Easter Sunday, Christ is risen, and so is Overstreet Ducasse. He has an excellent story about his experiences with Mr. Patrick. Turn over to him. Street.
Well, it ain't that much of a story.
Right.
Here's a story.
But this is what I'm saying. It's like I remembered Patrick. He's told me like the story of when he first met me, and basically he was saying that he met me prior to him meeting me because he's seen my artwork. Absolutely. And he's always wanted to know who the hell is this guy painting all this stuff.
Exactly.
And then the funny thing about it is because we live in Jacksonville, and my whole thing is with Jacksonville. Well, people usually say there's 6 degrees of separation, right?
Yeah.
My thing with Jacksonville is not 6, it's like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Every time you ask and you want to get some kind of inquiry about somebody, they are right around the corner. At least that's been my experience. It seems like everybody that's somebody, everybody that's cool, everybody that's doing something pretty much know each other or either hang out with each other or have a friend of a friend that's connected with that person.
And Pat's one of those Kevin Bacon types. It's like, things kind of revolve around him,
Yeah. So Patrick was trying to figure out who I was because he saw my artwork. And then it just so happened at the same time I was trying to figure out who the hell this guy was because I don't know why, but there was a periodic time where I was walking past the burrito gallery and I used to hear this wailing voice just screaming out. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it, I don't know why is it that I just didn't step in, but I remember there was several times, maybe it might have been doing a performance, maybe it might have been doing art walk, but there was several times that I walked past the burrito gallery and I heard this wailing voice singing. And I was trying to figure out who this was. And then finally he was introduced. I was like, oh, wow. That's that guy that I know. That was you. I was singing at the burrito gallery.
You told me that too. You said, I know it was you.
Yeah. That I know it. You know that voice. And the same thing with the artwork. It's like, oh, that's that guy that was doing the paintings.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
I always notice, it always seems to me that whenever I'm walking into one of your gigs, 'cause I'm never there at the beginning, I'm always going to like halfway through or something, it's always the one song, there's like, oh, like it's you going, that's always the sound that I hear right when I'm walking into.
I wish I could remember what song that is.
It's.
That's the only part you can remember. The whoa.
Was it Common Ground? I think the phrase Common Ground turns up in there. I'm not sure.
I don't know. But Common Ground, that's one of my favorites.
Oh yeah.
Bert asked me, he said, "You ever get tired of singing Common Ground?" I was like, never. I like the bass line, I like the lyrics, you know, I just like that song.
You know how sometimes people know, some people, they can get by singing and they're all right. But then there's a time that you meet somebody and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. You have the skill, you have the talent, you have the art and everything. And like, let's say if there was a worldwide contest going on singers, you'd be like, okay, look, Patrick Evan McMillan, I am 100% sure he could represent this city and take it over.
He could be the American Idol.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like competition.
No, I mean it ain't really about the competition. It's just the ability. It's like I have full confidence that you can represent this city and represent it proudly. You know what I'm saying? And do the job and win.
And I, you know what? I would represent the city proudly because I love it here.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I did win, it would probably be because my movement would be so sincere that it might just cause the universe to make my voice open up that night in a way, because I really do appreciate being here. I love the river. I've written songs to the river. I've written songs at the river. Straight to tell you, I'm still at the river all the time. So
what does the river? What does the St. Johns River mean to you? We're both children of the river, pretty much. What does the river mean for you?
Magic. You even see dolphins out there, and one of the magics is that since I've been home, they took, and this is true. They say the river flows north, and they said that's not like.
So do the people.
Yeah, you can say that again. It's not like every river does that, But you know, I even revised the song Brit and I did called "Tell It to the River" about the river. But these days, I had to revise it, and it goes into a place where I'm saying it's a north flowing river, and it's the St. Johns River. I say the name, and the Nile flows north, and the St. Johns River flows north, and that's where all maybe there are invisible pyramids here on another dimension or something. You know, we might be walking right through them.
Well, you know, Jacksonville has a huge concentration of Masons. We've got either
absolutely.
We've got either, I can't remember the exact statistic. Apparently, we have either the most number of Masonic temples
in
the
country. United States in one city, right?
Yeah, it's either the most or the most per capita. One of the two. But yeah, I mean, you see them all over the place.
Right here in Riverside.
Yeah.
Downtown.
And I think a lot of it's the trade groups, the longshoremen. I think a lot of it is the black people, like the black Masonic tradition, which, you know, whenever you talk about black Masons, you're touching on like all kinds of like the black esoteric tradition, you know, like sort of like your Marcus Garvey and like things like that. Because those, you know, the black Masons, a lot of them were war veterans. They went over to Europe. They went over, in some cases, to the Pacific Theater, sometimes North Africa. And so they were exposed to aspects of culture that no African Americans to that point in time had been exposed to. You know, there weren't African Americans going to Europe and involving themselves, you know, in that culture on a regular basis.
Right.
Before the jazz guys started doing it, and then some of the servicemen did. So they took that back over here to America, you know. I mean, it's like black bookstores and things like that. Just, you know, you meet the most interesting types of white people out here, the most interesting types of black people. You know, it's like, this is a city where around every corner there's somebody waiting to like blow your mind with some crazy shit you never thought about before. You know? Especially
in Riverside.
Yeah, maybe walking down the street, you might look at some tree, and then some guy will walk up to you. You know about that tree, right? You heard about the tree.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You don't know about the tree?
Yeah.
No, you are right about that. But I didn't know that when I left. I came into this after I got back. Yeah. And cats were being more conscious, and growing dreads, and wearing certain types of scents.
You were kind of a pioneer in the whole dread thing. You, Ali, Karan Marsalis, you know, y'all were some of the first dreads I met out here, especially as far as being conscious dreads in that esoteric tradition, soul house, you know.
I think I have a very ironic picture of what you're talking about.
Yeah, whenever I watch people watch your painting, like watch your work at like shows, the one question that I get more than anything else is, what kind of computer does he use to do that?
Wow!
Because it's so like precise and so like, you know.
It does look like it sometimes. It looks like it's graphic art.
It's like that esoteric tradition. Like, I feel like you're trying to tell us something with those things. Like, you know, I never try to like take psychedelics and go look at any of your stuff because I don't want to like take my mind on a trip I can't come back from.
Are you alien?
Wow. But that's one of the things I like about this community. Like, there is that, like, in this town, like, a painting isn't just a painting. A record isn't just a record. You know, a plate of food isn't just a plate of food. You know, there's like so much stuff playing into it, you know. It's like you could make the same drink, the same alcoholic beverage, give me 5 of them made by 5 different bartenders, and I could take a sip and almost guess who made which one. You know, based on the strength, based on the mix, little things like that, how many straws are in it. I can tell who they made it for, you know.
Wow.
I can, you know.
I'm not that good. I've been making my own so much these days. I've been my own favorite bartender.
You can take a sip of a drink and just be like, well, I can tell the bartenders had a bad day, you know.
Or the bartender is very generous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really love those.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, you know, I mean, we have good That's why I love Birdies. Always really good bartenders. Going back to the days of Keir and Eric and them, like, you know.
I called Overstreet. I said, "You're Lauryn Hill." And he didn't know what I meant by that, right? I was like, there are people that I've known in this life that were just people us sitting around with our dreams, right?
Mm-hmm.
That when they finally made something of themselves, they went over the top. I saw Lauryn Hill do that, and I've already Overstreet knows this. You know, I claim this, and this is true. This ain't nothing made up, and she could tell anybody. You know, that her first session that she ever got her name on a record in the music industry was when I called her, and me and her were doing some backgrounds for this girl Misha Paris, and she was a teenager. And I would call her. I'd be like, Lauren, these cats are calling me, because I had already heard her sing on the phone and stuff. AJ Calloway introduced me to her.
AJ.
Yeah, they were friends.
What's his name?
106 and Park.
106 and Park and
Extra.
And Extra now. Yeah, he's doing his thing. His first gig was me calling him for a video. Which, see, I was like an unpaid manager. These Mariah Carey people, I was in a position where I was able to, just like you were saying earlier, how you said people say in town, I'm always giving some new cat a chance to come up and be in band. Well, I was already doing that in New York. You know, I was on a professional level, singing and touring and doing stuff. But I knew Lauryn Hill could sing. Brother AJ had something in his energy to me that I liked. So they called me for a video for Mariah Carey, which was Make It Happen. I called AJ. I was like, hey, man, they need a drummer. That's his first gig.
AJ is a drummer?
In Mariah Carey, Make It Happen.
Wow.
Really?
And I called him on that. Yeah. My brother thought it was me. Everybody thought he and I were brothers.
Oh.
But my brother thought it was me. He said, I saw you on the drums. I said, that's not me, Mike. That's my friend AJ. I said, but everybody thinks that we're brothers. You know, my brother thought AJ was me. That's how much we used to look alike, especially when we both had hair, you know. Yes. But anyway, what am I trying to say? So Lauren, the same thing, you know. It would be like people would call me for sessions if they needed another voice. I would call Lauren. Or if they wanted to do something live and I didn't want to do it, because you know eventually you think you're on a level. I'm singing with Mariah Carey, they calling me to do this thing, so I would call Lauren. You know what I said? Ego. But I would call Lauren, and so that's how she got her start, singing in front of professional people live, getting her name on a record. That's just the universe that just was in her and my destiny.
Yeah.
And this is true, and it sounds fantastic, and I've never talked about it publicly, but the point is, I said I call Overstreet Lauryn Hill. To me, that's how I see him, as somebody that I know that hasn't really, like, they making a name, people know they can sing, or they you can paint, I'm just using that, but I feel like one day, it's gonna be like way beyond just like selling a few paintings. And
shit's gonna pop off.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Like in a big way. And I'm only saying that because of the science of my life. You know, we're not in New York anymore, but I'm still around those souls. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what I say about him. I don't know exactly who the famous person that I've met that I think you are, but when I saw you up on that the panel when we went to see you, Shelton, I was like, he going somewhere with this one day. I don't know where this is going. It may not be politics, but the way you handled yourself, the way your mind works so quick, the way your humor was so quick, and it was true.
And true to yourself.
And he stayed true to himself, which is what who were we just looking up? The musician Mingus just was saying that. He was just showing me a quote by that. You stayed true to yourself.
That was probably the one.
That's
of
where
the
the money is.
That was most important to me.
He didn't cut his hair.
Yeah, because I mean, even within our own environment, you know, there was plenty of, you know, well, how you gonna do this? How you gonna do that? And you know, well, you can't be hanging around with us cats. You know, I'm like, okay. So when it came down to it, you know, you stayed true to yourself. Which is the most important, because there's, you know, hey, you could be, you know what, when a day comes and they sit you in that office, right, and they write that check and it's blank, and they say, how much do you want? Well, to change, you know, who you are.
Absolutely.
You know, cut your hair, we'll give you $50,000.
Exactly.
The people need to know, you know, I always say, you know, whether they like what I'm saying or don't like what I'm saying, as long as they know that if you ask me a question, you're going to get an honest answer.
Right.
You know?
That's most important.
I mean, as long as people say, that's the biggest problem with this society. People hold so much stuff in. They suppress stuff. They go against their natural instinct, against their nature for the sake of going along to make some money or to impress people. And and then that usually, when you compromise your nature for a goal, you usually end up not achieving that goal.
Right.
And it's
I agree with you.
And I figure as long as people are saying what they think and keeping it real, then you can adjust.
Right.
If someone hates me, I'd rather know that they hate me than have them like pretending.
That's how I feel.
You know what? So did you go in running thinking at the end of the day, if you don't elect me, then it's your loss?
Yeah. It's like
exactly.
I keep track of like every robbery, every rape, every killing in this district. If I ever run for anything again, I'm going to have exact statistics showing like, okay,
wow,
all this is shit that didn't have to happen.
Okay, so you saw what you need to do.
Because when I ran, like we got like 1,500 votes for only spending a couple $1,000s. The other guys were spending $30,000, $50,000, $75,000. We went through maybe about 3,500 at the end of the day, including the filing fee and everything else. So we got a good batch of people coming out supporting. I got about half as many votes as the other front runners, but we couldn't break through people's apathy. Like I don't mind the people that didn't vote for me. People vote for whoever they want, but 70% of the voters in the district didn't come out and vote at all for any of these guys.
No, that's.
And I'm like, you got a full range of everything you might want to vote for. It's like if cats aren't going to come out and vote for me, like what are they going to vote for? I mean, how many chances do you get to besides just doing the job as a councilman, being effective, I was like, I always took the Alvin Brown approach before he was like, what the city needs is a salesman. What the city needs is people. Every city needs. Sorry, Val. Yeah, Alvin Brown he's an expert. Dude is he's like a character from The Wire.
He is, isn't he?
No, you know why? He was right there at that funeral. You know what I'm saying?
He sure was.
And he was there, dude. If you went to Rain's father's funeral, we were shocked. Alvin Brown spoke at his funeral, and you would never have noticed that this man was what do you call it? In politics.
Yeah.
He spoke like he was a true preacher.
Sure
I mean, it was.
Yeah.
He was a hell of a character.
It was great.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Good. Yeah. He was a good speaker.
But I was shocked. I did not expect that at all.
Yeah. Well, the preacher cadences are so important in politics. I mean, that's some of what Obama helped bring to the mix. The whole idea, you can say anything you want as long as it sounds like this. Yeah, it's like a pro wrestling style. It's like that whole, it's the rise and fall, the dramatic tension of like a wrestling promo. Like I remember seeing Bill Clinton. It's on YouTube. Watch the clip a little bit. It's Bill Clinton campaigning, I think it's like 92, and he's on stage, and the mic is on the microphone, he's doing his normal like mellow, going along to get along thing, and there's some heckler that keeps yelling at him like about some kind of financial skullduggery he was involved in. He keeps interrupting Clinton. He's trying to be nice about it, and then the guy, I don't know what the guy said, but it set Bill off, and you see him, he's standing just mellow like this, then you see him reach out, snatch the mic out of the mic stand. He goes, "Now let me tell you something, brother," or something like, he, like Bill Clinton, he's flipped a switch and his mind just became Bubba. Like he went from being good old nature Bill Clinton to being like a 6'4" dude from Arkansas,
right?
That isn't trying to hear any more of your shit.
Exactly.
I was like, That's what
he took him out of his political posture, and you saw the real him, like who his brothers might have seen if they had gotten on his nerves or something, because there's that other thing.
Yeah,
right.
Our
After all, we're all human beings.
Absolutely.
You see people's true nature when they're under those types of pressure. Ronald Reagan was when he was running for president in 1980, he was at this debate, and like he was like helping to facilitate the debate or something like that. basically he was trying to talk, and the moderator of the event, was trying to like shut him down, cut him off, and then he told the producer to cut Reagan's mic, and then Reagan grabs the mic and goes, "I paid for this mic." It's like that was the only time Reagan ever like dropped the smile, and he only had to do it for like a second.
He paid for it, huh?
And nobody screwed with him again. It's like when Bush was in Iraq that time, and the dude started throwing shoes at him.
Man.
Oh yeah.
That could have been anything. That could have been a grenade. That could have been an assassination
Right.
attempt.
That was something.
But yeah,
else.
his football moves.
Yeah,
I mean,
He sure
he's
is.
smiling
Yo.
and juking.
yo,
I thought that was heavy.
It's like the man is in Iraq, surrounded by 20 million people that don't like him. He's in a closed environment, and cats are throwing shit at him, and he's smiling.
I thought that was heavy.
Like that's scary. Like that's a dude you don't want to get into a conflict with. Because when you can like maintain your equilibrium even under that kind of pressure, when Obama was running for office in 2008, he flew around on this plane with like the press and the people covering his campaign. They had turbulence. They had like severe turbulence problems. I think they were over St. Louis or something, and people were kind of scared. There's turbulence, but if you're on a plane with a politician, and you get turbulence, it might be more than turbulence. So basically, apparently Obama comes out from the back of the plane, goes up where the cabins for the candidate and all that are, comes up in the front where the press are sitting, all nervous, and they're all strapped in their seats, and he's walking up the aisle, and he basically said, "Well, in case the plane crashes, you should just ask your questions now." It's like,
oh my God, I would have fell out if I had been on that plane. I would have known we were going to have a safe trip if that happened. I mean, I would have laughed my ass off. That's hilarious. And I would have enjoyed his brilliance.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I ain't gonna die on no plane with somebody this brilliant that just came out and said something crazy shit like this at a time like this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Ric Flair was in a plane crash in 1975, broke his back in like 3 places. They told him he'd never walk again. He is wrestling in Madison Square Garden 6 months later.
Hey, see?
And in the subsequent years, the guy spent
Like what you're talking about, your friend you're working for.
Guy spent 35 years riding around on planes. Now in wrestling, now everybody wants to be on the plane with Ric Flair because they figure there's no way he'll be in 2 plane crashes. So it's like having Flair on your plane is like a good luck
like
charm.
good luck, right?
Yeah.
Like I'll buy him a free ticket, just have him on the plane with me.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
That's.
Yeah, what would the
power.
chances of that be, right?
Yeah, that's real power. It's like, it's sort of like the power you have as a musician. Like, how many times have you been performing on stage and you see a cat come in? Hell, it might even be me sometimes. See a cat come in with a girl, and it's like the first couple of times they're hanging out. And the guy's bringing that girl there because that's their spot.
Right.
And he's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you make romance music. You make music for seduction. You make music that starts families, and you make that music that gets cats kicked out of the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, they've told me.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's a great
I'm
power.
glad somebody doing it.
Yeah.
A
friend of mine once got married. This is like 15 years ago. He's a big jazz fan. He asked me to make like a couple of mixtapes for him and his wife for the honeymoon. Like they wanted stuff to be playing in the hotel room, and like lots of bass and a lot of rhythm, consummate the relationship music. So I put on a bunch of Sun Ra, a bunch of like Mingus, and then that Duke Ellington swing, because Harlem swing, it's like the sound is still classic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me ask you this: have you ever made any mistakes in the music business? Are there things you've done that you would, that if you could do it again, would you maybe not do? Or do you even think of it as a mistake?
2 things. And one thing, these days, maybe it wasn't a mistake. But yeah, this was the worst thing I would ever advise somebody that has moved 1,000 miles away from where they live to try to be successful for themselves. I did do this. Okay, my favorite singer, if the listener has not figured this out within these last 2 interviews, is Shaka Khan.
Yes.
You have to know this.
We're 6 hours in now. They know about.
Okay,
the
gotcha. They got it?
Yes.
Okay, great.
You can tell about our Shaka Khan story.
Oh.
Oh my God. No, but
the trip and the painting.
wow, yeah, that
Ain't
is
that
that.
something?
And don't let me forget.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be
No,
brief
go
with
ahead.
these stories. But yeah, so yeah, my lifelong dream finally comes true, and I'm meeting Shaka Khan. And as ironic, you dream that you're gonna meet her at a backstage of a concert or something like that. Well, as ironic as it was, I met my favorite singer from 9 years old. All her albums, dreams about her, been wanting to meet her all my life. Finally get to meet her. I meet her in a bowling alley. That's where I met her for the first time. So I would see her from time to time whenever she would be in town, and she would receive me well. So anyway, I'm singing with Mariah Carey at this point, so I'm getting sessions. There are big producers calling me and my buddy Trey, and we're doing backgrounds and
Trey
stuff.
Lorenz.
Yep, Trey Lorenz. And we're making very good money doing background sessions and stuff. So they called me, these producers called me for this session. And I tried to turn it down because I said, well, I can't because I got tickets to see Shaka Khan. They said the sessions at this time, you'll be out long before then. Okay, great. I can make some money and go see Shaka. Well, as ironic as the universe would have it, the equipment kept breaking down. The equipment kept breaking down, Brother Shelton. And they couldn't get it, and the time was going on, and I was like, yo, we're getting closer to that concert. Anyway, the time for Shaka was getting close to come on. I took my headphones off, and I left that session, and I went and saw Shaka Khan and had a wonderful, wonderful time, right? But those people never called me again, ever, for a session. And not only did they not, nobody did. These were big producers. These were not people trying to make it. These were people who were making big records, putting records out. Okay? And so that word followed, especially if you want a Mariah Carey background singer.
Yeah.
Her name probably came before mine.
Oh.
Mariah Carey singer, what? I ain't even got a name no more. Mariah Carey singer walked out on our session to go see Shaka Khan. So nobody ever called me again. Over the years.
What about Mariah?
I probably worked with her a little bit longer after that. Yeah. But when I stopped working with her, it was because she was, I worked with her through 3 albums. The Vision of Love album, the album that had Emotions on it, and the MTV Unplugged album. Then she was recording a new album, and she started using a lot of females that had worked with us on MTV Unplugged. And she told me that she was going to take that sound on the road with her the next time. So people have asked me, like, why Mariah fired you? It's like, I don't really feel like after 3 albums I was fired, but I feel like she was progressing.
She changed up her song.
Yeah, Prince does it.
She had fewer backup singers at that point because she was beginning to go into that phase of like fantasy and stuff like that,
and it became more of a fantasy, just the whole show.
The production.
Yeah, the production, the show, everything,
Like There Was You, then she had to bring in Old Dirty Bastard.
Mm-hmm.
Like to do the whole. My favorite.
It's a balance.
ODB on that fantasy remix had probably one of my favorite lines in the history of hip hop. Me and Mariah go back like babies and pacify us.
And you know what? That sounds like such a far off line that you almost want to question is it did he just make that up, or is that really real?
Yeah, I don't know the answer myself.
Yeah, exactly.
The fantasy pop fire. It's that's just a perfect 4-line hip hop stanza.
Oh man, for sure.
I mean,
and my friend Michael K. Williams out here is going to play him in the ODB movie they're making.
Irony of ironies.
And that's something. Isn't that? Yeah, I didn't even think about it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. No, and we were just talking about that earlier. I don't know if I even should
what?
say. No,
Yeah.
About the connections.
Yeah.
I've always
yeah.
The reason to be, and I tell people this all the time, and they think that I'm talking BS. I'm serious. The reason why I am the artist that I am today really is because of Wu-Tang. And we just went and saw Raekwon here, a few days ago.
Yeah, you should. I just
And he gave a lot of respect to ODB. But I'm telling you, back in the days when I really, really was into hip-hop, it was me, Andrika, and this dude, Celine. And we used to listen, we were all working at Wendy's at one point. We used to listen to Wu-Tang, at least the Cuban Link album, every single day after work.
Yes.
As soon as that, it was the routine.
Only built
Every
for
single
Timberland.
day after work, we used to listen to Raekwon for such a I can't even tell you how many days. You know, it's unbelievable.
Oh yeah, like there
You
was.
know?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Back
So-
in that era. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So, but then with that, what ended up happening is that this Raekwon grew on me. Then I went back to 36 Chambers, and then we collected every single album that I released after that.
Yes.
And then within that, like, since I was an artist, I started incorporating the whole Wu-Tang idea in my painting.
The esoteric black tradition.
Before it was even that, I was just so fascinated by that. There were 9 members.
Yep.
They used to call their lyric darts. I remember one of the first paintings I created was portraying each one of these members as an individual dart.
Nice.
And then I got heavily involved in the W symbol. So I started using esoteric way of hiding the symbol within leaves, using landscape. I mean, all kinds of crazy mess.
Yeah, man.
And then all of a sudden I realized, wow, the true essence in the art that I created is through music.
That's interesting.
It's like music taught me a very valuable lesson in art. And I think from then on, really, that's what really separated me from just being, okay, look, I'm an artist, I know how to draw, and I can create something, it looks just like you, and, it's very mechanical, and that's cool, to like, oh, wow, I have something to say, I have something in my mind. And my mind finally connected with what my hand had to do.
Right.
And then it all just like, wow, this is it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The Wu's kind of like the Beatles in that back in that era, you could almost kind of tell something about people by who their favorite member of the Wu was, or which of the first, especially his first few albums that came out. Like some cats were very much about Tikal.
Right. Exactly.
Others,
The Jizza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liquid Swords.
Liquid Swords.
Ghostface, Iron Man.
Iron Man.
No one ever said that ODB was their favorite
Not at
Wu
all.
rapper, but he was always in everybody's mix.
Right.
No,
because ODB, I think originally when you first got involved with ODB, he had, I think, maybe 2 songs on the 36 Chambers album, where he came off so like crazy, like shame on a nigga, like his verse on that, and there was another song too. But then, like when he came out with his own album, like he was so off the wall. It's like I don't think people knew how to deal with that.
Yeah.
I wonder what that would be like being like say like if you're in a rap group like Wu-Tang and it's multiple members rapping. Okay, so everybody got to write a verse. I wonder how that happens if you like, man, that verse is whack. That's what you want to use?
Well, it's
You
probably
gonna flow on that against what I just said on that last verse?
I'm pretty sure that happened.
I'm
plenty of
sure.
times, yeah.
I'm
With
sure.
all their personalities.
Yeah.
it helped that they were all friends, and I think it helped that there was like kind of an established hierarchy, like having the RZA like as the man in the center, doing the beats and like kind of controlling the image of the group, like was probably important because, I mean, that was like it's almost like wrestling. Like that was a bunch of volatile cats, like trying to like trying to take the whole Wu-Tang on the road. I remember they tried to do a tour with Wu-Tang and Rage Against the Machine, and they maybe did like a couple of shows before that fell apart.
Right. That was in the 90s.
They used to have this deal where like a certain percentage of every Wu-Tang affiliated album goes into like a general fund that is divvied out among all the members, so that like even if you're U-God, you still get to be paid.
Right.
Like, or if you're like Spectre Deck or Capadonna,
Right.
They don't really do as many albums.
Master Killer.
Yeah.
I think he's the only one that, if he has released an album, I don't know. I haven't heard of it.
And they split the money up like that?
Yeah.
See, and that's why people still talk about them like this, because there was the energy stuff going on outside of the record industry that they must have stuck to their agreement instead of switching the agreement up.
Yeah.
And man, I believe that creates so much power, agreement that people can have amongst each other and
Most
stick
people don't
to
do
it.
it. Yeah.
Right. Once the label get into it and they're like,
Oh,
okay, look,
man.
we're gonna put Diana Ross or Michael Jackson on the front cover. Y'all
Wow.
background singers.
Compare the Wu to like say NWA. Also a crew of friends that came together, but then success within the industry split them apart.
Right.
Almost in 5 different directions. But the Wu has still managed to stay consistent. You know, I mean, it's been almost 20 years. The fact that ODB is the only one who's died is a real accomplishment
Right.
within the hip hop industry.
Yeah, I think they came maybe last year, the year before. There was that Rain or Plush Leopard Lounge or something.
Yeah.
Everybody was there. Of course, ODB was dead.
Yeah.
The only person that wasn't there was Method Man. And
he was not there?
No, he was not there.
Oh,
period.
man.
Yeah.
I hope when they do the Wu-Tang movie with Michael K. Williams, I've said it before, but I really hope they cast the other members of the Wu-Tang to play themselves. They probably won't, because it'll be really tempting to get all these other artists. But I think if you just have, because some of those guys
Why
have acted.
wouldn't
Yeah, a lot. So many of them have acted. Riz has acted.
Right.
Meth has
Yeah,
acted.
no, they should just play
Raekwon
themselves.
acted.
There would be
Yeah.
no reason. And Mike comes in to play ODB.
Yeah, because in that way you could get
Yeah, that
it'd
would
be
make
really
it a
fresh.
real good movie.
Because Michael K. Williams, with his background in hip hop, you know, I mean, he could probably just learn the lyrics. He could probably rap as ODB and like probably freestyle his own shit while channeling the character.
No, it's true, and how ironic. I told you when Michael K. Williams and myself and Jamie were in a group, Michael was the rapper.
Yeah.
And the song, he wrote these lyrics to this song called Sweet Life. Completely the character that he wound up playing is this guy. So how ironic that would come back around when the first time he was recording, he was rapping, and now he's getting to play this rapper. A lot of these things. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
The people that I'm around now. The universe just brings these souls around me for some reason. I don't know, but I'm around the Laurens, the Mariahs, the Treys. I'm around these people right now.
Yeah.
I can see the auras.
Michael Williams is like the hood Superman. Like I think the Omar Little character might be the like single most important like television character of the 21st century so far. You know, like his whole story arc. You know,
It was fantastic.
the way he went out, like, you know.
He had standards. I learned that his character never said a cuss word. The whole 5 years the show was on. He never cussed. He only robbed drug dealers and he was giving the stuff away. You know, he had like a code. It wasn't just like doing stuff.
Robin Hood.
Yeah, he was Robin Hood, right?
Robin Hood, yeah.
Real talk.
Yeah. Robin the Hood, man. Yeah.
Robin Hood for the sake of good.
Yeah.
Robin Hood for the sake of good. You know.
For real.
Yeah. But I appreciate him. He still, you know, we don't talk all the time, but he calls me at least once a year, maybe twice sometimes. And, you know, and I know how to reach him. So, you know, he's a very busy man. And I know the time is going to come around where we're going to be face to face again.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Gotta make sure you send him a CD.
Right.
Are you gonna send a copy? Are you gonna mail out copies of the CD to some of your contacts and, like, you know, friends and cats?
Yeah, but I just want them to hear it. I don't want them to.
Yeah, just.
Yeah. And if they hear something and it just something strikes them, but I don't want it to be like.
Yeah. Not like you're fishing for compliments. It's just like, hey, this is what I'm up to. Check it out.
And that's all I get.
Same as, you know. Yeah. We watch when we, you know, God knows anything he's doing. We're gonna be checking out. I'm all about Chalky White.
I know now. I got to see that show. I just saw The Wire.
That dude, man.
We rented The Wire, me and Street.
Yeah, I've seen probably
watched it all.
two episodes of Boardwalk Empire, and so far it's been quite impressive. You gotta watch the whole.
Yeah,
thing.
we're gonna have to get the box set when that comes out, because that's how I like to watch stuff. I don't like waiting the next week until it comes on, and then you gotta wait for the reruns, the show. I just want to see it.
I don't do episodic TV. That I like, you know, I'll watch it when it's on. I remember when I was younger, especially coming up in the 80s and the 90s, it was all about Thursday nights on NBC. Because in the 80s it was like Cosby Show, Cheers, Family Ties, stuff like that. And then it progressed along to like Seinfeld and Mad About You and stuff like that. But then once Seinfeld ended, that was the last time I was into really tuning in every week. I mean, I watched some of this stuff on HBO, you know, these HBO series, but those are all like you can miss like 3 or 4 of them and then just watch them all back to back. You know, only thing Now wrestling on Monday night, I always watch that. But
You used to go. Remember when they used to have it at the Coliseum?
oh yeah,
I guess that was my first kind of concert type of experience because there was bright lights and
yeah.
everybody looked like they were like really lit up on stage, and that's probably my first experience of like I guess some kind of concert.
Florida was a hot wrestling territory. Duval's just been hot for culture for a very long time. Younger cats may not be able to notice it nowadays because the music industry is just starting to get attention from local media and stuff like that the way they should. But traditionally, going back to the 20s and 30s, everybody came.
Man, are you kidding?
Count Basie, Cap Calloway, Elvis, Hendrix.
They used to play right across the street from the Clara White Mission on Broad Street. The building is still there. Billy, Sarah, Count Basie, all of them have played here over and over again.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you know,
Nirvana's played here, Wu-Tang's played here, Beastie Boys played here.
The Rolling Stones, Elton John.
Yeah, U2.
Yeah, everybody's been here.
First concert I ever went to, I was 6 years old, the Michael Jackson Victory Tour.
I remember
the
that.
Gator Bowl.
I didn't get to go, but I remember the energy around it.
Yeah, I always feel kind of grateful that my family gave me that experience because it was my mom and my aunt and their friends, and I know, I mean, they're like my mom's probably like 29, my aunt's probably about 24, 25. I know going to a Michael Jackson concert at the Gator Bowl with your friends, last thing you'd want to bring with you is a 6-year-old boy.
Of course.
But they did, so I could have the experience of having been there.
Right.
And I'm very...
that's awesome.
Yeah.
But you were talking about all the big people that's been here. And, see, I think people expect too much from Jacksonville because it's so big, land-wise. Like, to me, it would be much more impressive if we still called it Calford. Because when Jacksonville being so big, when you drive in Jacksonville and you get downtown, you're expecting there to be a lot going on.
Yeah.
And then you're disappointed. But if it was Calford you were coming into, if you came into Calford from Georgia or wherever, and you got downtown, you would think Calford was off the chain.
Like it's Savannah.
Oh my God, this is Calford? I never thought. So I think we should go back to calling it Calford to trick people. So when they get here, they'll be impressed. They're not so impressed by Jacksonville, but Calford, they would be very impressed by Calford. What I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful town. There's a lot going on here. But it is so big, a lot that's going on is spread out.
Right.
Like if it were smaller, all the entertainment at the beach and with those of us that play downtown.
Exactly. Put it all like in
absolutely.
It's harder to promote shows, because if you're in a place like Portland or New York or San Francisco or any of these other places, getting, if you're a band, getting 100 people to fill up a spot is easy.
Right.
Like if you're a good band up in New York, you can probably get 100 people up in your spot on a day's notice without even having to put out flyers. But if you're trying to do something out here, like when Matt's doing the Hater Free stuff, like he has to buy thousands of flyers and go all over the city and push those flyers out just to get the kind of numbers he wants. Right. Whereas if he were doing that up in New York, he could probably just put it on Twitter and it's there.
Well, let me tell you how they do it in New York. Like say like how we play at the Freebird. In New York, you play a venue like that where you're doing original music. You have to sell tickets first. A lot of those places, they want to make sure that that the amount of money that you're asking for.
Yeah.
So you have to sell tickets. I don't like that. I don't like having to sell tickets ahead of time.
Yeah.
They treat it all like the entertainment industry. If you're going to a concert, you got to buy the tickets first.
Yes.
For the most part. Yeah. So. It's different. California's like that too.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, doing what I do, we can make a living here. Local artists are not making a living in New York. Like we make enough money here in Jacksonville where we can pay our rent and our stuff. Doing what I'm doing in New York, you would not make the same amount of money.
No.
It might be $100 for the whole band.
Yeah. It's way easier for a Duval cat to visit New York than it is for a New York cat to visit Duval.
You can say that again. They will have culture shock. They will love it. The musicians would love it because they'd be calling home saying, "Man, they paid us this." I mean, that was just mine. I would have had to split. So the pay rate here is greater for a local musician than it is in California and in New York. That's crazy. I thought that, and all the musicians that have gone away that'll come back will tell you the same thing.
Wow.
Stan Piper
Mm-hmm.
said that about Chicago. He had a gig. He was coming back to Chicago coming back to Jacksonville. He got called for a gig on the way back. He said it's not like all this work just because you're so good. There's so many good people. But he came back to Jacksonville. He ain't stopped working since he been back. It's a different kind of. It's a different hustle.
I know you, like a lot of musicians, you love to perform, you love to create, but you don't like the business aspect of it, the tomfoolery related to that. But in this process of doing the Soul Power and rebranding yourself, you've had to take on more of these techniques and almost kind of force yourself to do it. What's that experience been like for you, and how is getting more appreciation of the business aspect, how has that influenced, if at all, your approach to the music?
Not about approach to the music, but it's not something I really, like I find singing fun. Donald Trump may find doing business fun. That might be like fun, right?
Yes, I think he does.
You know what I'm saying? Well, that part of it for me isn't fun, but the universe doesn't want me to get taken advantage of, so it's forcing me to have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just doing it. And of course, anytime you learn how to do something and to talk to people directly, you're writing out contracts like I have to do sometimes for weddings and things, and getting advances and telling people you won't get this back now if you decide not to get married. You're having to like say stuff and you wish somebody else could say that. I just want to show up. I'm not only the person that told them that you won't get your advance back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's going to cost this much. And then after all that, then it's like, okay, now what's your favorite song? Which is really all they really want to talk about anyway. They just want you to come and just play and sing. But you got to take care of all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something I'm going to be able to escape. Now, if I'm ever going to have a love for it, I don't know. Am I going to keep doing it and learning greater? Yes.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Of all the songs on Soul Power, and I know you like them all, could you pick one that you could point at as this is the sound of Patrick Evan in a nutshell?
I could tell you the song is The Message, which Higher Fire. I mean, we went to the same church, so we've been hearing about the Hebrews coming down on Egypt. God coming down on the Egypt for a long time. We've been hearing about God coming down on Sodom and Gomorrah for a long time, and stuff like that. We've been hearing about Jesus healing the blind and bringing the dead back to life. We've been hearing about that. I was hearing about that before I was hearing about romance and other things that I've written about on the CD.
Yeah.
So to me, I almost wish every song I could write could be like that. And I love reggae, so it's not like I want everything to sound like reggae. But I have two reggae songs on here. One that is Higher Fire, and then Child of Life, which is the tribute to Bob Marley. But I would have to say, answer your question, Higher Fire is probably truer to what I am, what I'm thinking about a great deal of the time, what I'm feeling. It just...
I know that when you guys perform, you often combine the two songs. Like, in a sort of, like you'll do the Higher Fire, and then like during the bridge, like the sort of mellow middle section of the jam, like you go into the Child of Life.
Yeah, Jeremy Corella came up with that. He wrote the music for both those songs, and I wrote the lyrics. Jeremy Corella, he's in California now. Yeah. But songs I've written in my life, like Love Is My Religion, which with the vibe element, and Clarity, with the vibe element, Common Ground. You know what I'm saying? Those songs are the songs that are easier for it's harder for me to sit down and write a love song unless it's a love song about a sunset or something I've seen.
Yeah. It's hard to write it about people.
Yeah. Even though I do it and I've had those experiences, I know what that is. But
that's why I don't do poetry that much anymore.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
The state of mind that I was in when I was doing that stuff, I don't feel that way anymore. Like I still feel love and romance and all that kind of stuff, but my nature isn't to express it in that form right now.
And when I heard you do poetry the first time, you were in a very sexual high, I don't know if you were in a high point or you wanted to be in a high point, but the poem that I heard you spit out on in San Marco years ago, it was so sexual in nature. I was almost embarrassed myself. I was like, because I always kind of saw Shelton as a shy person like myself, right?
Yeah.
And he was standing up there, and he was saying this poem too, and he wasn't cutting back, and he was, and I don't. It was 10 years ago at least, so I don't remember the lyrics. I remember the incident.
Yes, Mr. Reverend Washington, his fans. Cats were not trying to turn the other cheek that night.
Oh my God, it was pretty funny, Shelton.
Those are good times.
Yeah, I felt like I really felt like that was like you would just. It was almost like you spit that poem because people wouldn't expect you to spit that poem. It was like trying to break down ideas that people have of you. People think just because you got dreads or just because you say money all the time, you're not a sexual being, or you don't get pissed off. Or, you know what I'm saying? I've had to put people in their place, and they are shocked. They're more than shocked. They feel hurt because they're like, oh my God, I've never even. Over here the other night, a female we were hanging out with, me and Mo. Yeah. And she was just like, I cannot believe how I'm hearing you talk right now. And I was like, that's because you haven't seen me in this situation. Now you have. The next time you won't be surprised. I'm only in this situation because of the situation. I'm having to put down how much energy I'm putting into what we're talking about.
Yes.
And you're just not comfortable hearing me put that much energy down because we're not normally in this situation. The people that are around me all the time, people who have lived with me, already get it.
I've seen you in a couple of those conversations.
Oh my God.
What is the biggest misconception or misperception that people would have about you based on watching you sing and perform, listening to music, but not knowing you personally?
Probably that they probably think I'm the most confident, non-stressed out person. That's what I hear.
Yeah, they think you're like a Shaolin monk.
Yeah, I say if you could touch me, I said I'm glad my personality doesn't come off like I'm really like wired up, because I said if you could touch me, it's like a motor inside of me going. And I'm always trying.
Like an old lawnmower.
Yeah. And I'm always trying to calm it down, like a new lawnmower. Actually, this thing is going fast.
RPMs.
Inside. So because I know I'm feeling like that a lot of times on the outside, I'm calm, because who wants to be like this all the time? Yeah, man. I don't know what's going. You know, I mean, I don't want to act wired up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'd rather just keep it in and put it in songs. And singing releases a lot of anxiety too, because you're breathing. So, you know, when they want you to calm down, they say, breathe. So when you're singing and you're doing 4 hours or 3 hours like we do, sometimes if I've had a day of anxiety, sometimes by the time the gig is done, it's over, because I have been breathing deeply for 3-4 hours. Singing, it heals. It is a healer, you know, for me. And I've heard other musicians say it. It's true. You can be sick. You could have been coughing all day long. You'll go to gig and you won't cough during that whole set. And then the show will be over. You might go home. You might start coughing again. But there's something about when you're doing music, it takes your mind even off of what you're going through physically.
Absolutely.
That's why you be seeing these entertainers, they're like 90 now. Brother B.B. King, he got to sit on a chair now to do what he's doing. You know, I done seen them carry people out. They're so old, they bringing them out, one man on one arm. You know, but they can't stop, because while they're having that experience, they're not dealing with cancer. They're not dealing with lymph nodes. They're not dealing with fatigue.
Yes.
You know, so it's got a healing aspect, and I believe it's alive, and I mean that.
Absolutely.
You know.
Well, sound. I mean, even in just music itself, just sound and sound waves in general have been proven to have like certain effects on the body, on the mind. You know, just the vibrations of the, like you see those people that always stand right by the speaker.
Yeah.
And no matter how loud it is, they're right there. You know, that's probably because A, the sound, and B, like the vibrations of the sound are like having an effect on their personality. And then we couple that with music and melodies and harmonies that are pleasing to the ear, vocals that are pleasing to the ear. You know, it can be very powerful. You see hip hop, like a lot of this shitty hip hop, commercial hip hop that's all out there now, and it's just, you know, got these girls dancing, dragging their asses on the floor. A lot of it's just bullshit lyrics, but really tight beats.
Mm-hmm.
It's like hip hop producers learned a long time ago. If the beat is fresh, you can put anything on top of it,
so
and people will still jump in on it. You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's not a natural thing for so many black people to be vibing out on music that's about killing other black people.
Right.
The beats have to be fresh to make like cats think that selling crack is somewhat acceptable.
Wow.
You know, like.
You know what? And speaking of this vibration, by the way, did you ever hear about the cymatic experiment? It's this thing. It deals with sound. This is back to what you were talking about, and this is on YouTube. I saw it, where these cats created like a tape, some kind of table, and they put a speaker up under the table, right? And then they connected, you know, like a speak, you know, the speakers on the table. So anyway, they put sand on this table. They turn this thing up, and the sand starts making images and shapes. The higher up they turn it, the images change and switch every time. They turn up. Eventually, it got so high where only like a dog could hear it. But the shape of the sand changed every single frequency.
Yes.
And that's what they were showing that
They've done that with water droplets too.
Same thing.
Underneath a
It's
microscope.
the same thing, right? And that's what they were saying is that music waves have like enough mass where they can actually create images.
Yeah. Music,
you know?
Yeah. Music therapy. Thing about like Buddhists and stuff, when they meditate, they'll have their mantras. They'll say Om.
Right.
You know, they'll sit there, be perfectly still, adjust their posture totally so all their chakras are lined up.
Right.
And they'll make this sound that's really just putting like high intensity vibrations through the body, you know, like, and it's one thing to say Om, but then when you're like Om, you know, it's like you're taking a vibrator to your consciousness, to each of the chakras, like realigning everything. It's very
You can
powerful.
feel it too.
Oh yeah, people can, you know, William S. Burroughs used to say that drugs aren't really necessary. Like, you can take a drug once, and then your mind can recreate that experience without ever having to take it again. You know, and guys will put themselves into trances. We've seen all these stories of like Buddhist monks like setting themselves on fire.
Oh my God.
You know, number one, I mean, just the state of mind to be willing to do that as a form of protest.
Insane.
But then to do it like these guys do it, they don't move.
No.
Like, they don't fucking flinch.
Isn't that crazy?
You know, that's a whole, I don't know, that's an aspect of the human mind and human spirit that we still don't understand.
Yeah, man.
You know,
I don't
if we
know
could
what
tap
that
in
is.
if we could tap in that level of dedication simply to accomplish our day-to-day mundane goals, you know, we'd be a whole different society, I think.
Well, those people that do that must not have much attachment to anything.
Yes.
Because Overstreet would be like, and I would be like, and you would be like, my family.
Desire is the root of pain, they say. You know, because we want things. Everything we want, everything we think we need, everything goes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you might fall in love with someone, whether they cheat on you and leave you tomorrow, or whether you're married for 50 years and then they die, it's still going to hurt.
Absolutely.
You know, so all desire leads eventually to pain. You know.
Yeah. So what's the thing then? Like, why do we have a? Since that is, I can see that to be a reality, right? Where did the desire to be greater come from? You know, like even with music, it's my understanding that if you're in a tribe and you're doing music or art or a scribe, right, that you are that within a tribe of Africans or Native Americans or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When you're writing, when you're painting, when you're singing, you're singing to enlighten the tribe about the tribe. You know, that's what the art is for, is to keep a tradition going on for a time. And when we do stuff that's more selfish, it's just like we're not necessarily making music and selling it and signing up with record companies for the tribe as much as it's personal. The tribe might end up being our family, you know, that we came up in our house with, but that's not a real tribe in the sense of what a tribe is. That's the whole community. And so I don't know, that might even be throwing off why we struggle so much, just because our reasons for doing it may be greatly more selfish than what the true nature of art is, you know. And so
people never appreciate their own agenda. Everyone's always doing stuff without being clear on why they're doing it, you know.
Right.
You know, I mean.
Right.
And then if you're not clear on why you're doing something, you know, as you know, say as a painter, you know, it kind of helps to have a plan, even if you're doing abstract stuff. You know, the people I know who do abstract art, by and large, even that isn't like totally spontaneous. Like it's abstract that conforms to some kind of plan. Listen to cats who do free jazz. Yeah, it's all improvised and kind of made up on the spot, but they have an idea. You know, they have like a couple of chords in mind, a couple of tricks they want to play with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like if somebody attacks you on the street and you have to fight to defend yourself, it's a spontaneous thing, but you're going to be defending yourself based on concepts and ideas that you've already internalized in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Sure.
So what about guys who freestyle?
That's a good question. Like to me, hip guys who can freestyle well, and there's a lot of them here in Duval and whatnot. That is one of the most impressive psychological feats. Like to me, I mean, it's like
if you can do it well.
Yeah,
agree with you, right?
it's like
It
being
is.
a pilot or something.
Right,
like
Man, I've heard some.
Right. Because I mean,
Man.
and you know what? I think ultimately,
Mhm.
if hip hop does not get the reward that it actually deserves,
yeah,
at least people who freestyle should get that respect.
absolutely.
Because there is really outside, let's say, of a of a musician just on a guitar playing what he feels.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody that comes up on a stage, grabs a microphone, totally can rock an entire show just freestyling from the top of their head.
And it has to rhyme.
And it's rhyming.
genius.
That's very impressive.
Absolutely.
Because
That
you're
is very
existing.
impressive, man.
Because to do it
Absolutely.
effectively, you have to exist in two different positions in space-time simultaneously. There's the you that's in real time, face to face with somebody, and you're rapping, and you're
Right.
trying to cut this guy down. The crowd's reacting. You got to bounce back and forth and all that. And while you're doing all that, there's a part of you that is already a few seconds into the future,
Absolutely.
anticipating the next things to be
Absolutely.
said. You know,
Right.
it's like circular breathing almost. You know,
Mhm.
you know, you look at a guy like Eminem, for example, or like say the Jizza, who's one of the best freestylers out there. You know, their brains just function in a totally different way. You know, and it's
Yeah, it's like their minds are moving at light speed through different galaxies.
yeah.
Like they're in one galaxy, but they know they're going to another one. That's the next line.
Right, exactly. and sometimes it's like it's so impressive that all of it connects. It makes total sense.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Rather it be that they're informative, rather they're battling.
Right.
Or, you know, they're just talking about their day.
It's all calculated for
and
effect.
it's not, and it's something coming spontaneously
That's
at
amazing
a
to
drop
me.
of a dime.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think that's probably one of the most I guess important aspect. If hip hop does not get any respect at all,
Yeah.
that right there, you can't
Absolutely.
beat it. You can't beat
What
it.
these guys do with their minds and their mouths is the equivalent of what b-boys do with their bodies.
Right.
Like,
I agree.
like the best of b-boys, even marginal b-boys, they literally are fucking around with the laws of gravity, the laws of physics.
The way they can use their bodies, right?
Yeah, like you're not supposed to just be able to spin on your head like that without breaking your damn neck.
Right.
You know? And it's like, it's pretty awesome. And I hate to see, that's why I get so down on gangster rap so much, because I hate to see these great skills being used for ill. Like these guys that freestyle so awesome, why are you rapping about selling crack? Like, you know, tell these kids about Pharaoh. Tell these kids about Marcus Garvey. You know, I'm tired of hearing rappers talk about all the foul shit they did to make their money. I want to hear them rapping about how they invest their money. You know, like, why has no one ever rapped about their taxes?
Their what?
Their taxes. You
Right.
know?
Because
It's
they're
like-
scared.
Yeah, I've heard million songs about dudes like
You know
stepping
what?
out of the
You know,
house to go
'cause
fuck
that's
some
what-
chick.
That's one of the
Right.
things that they're scared of.
Yeah.
All that stuff they've already experienced. What they
Yeah.
are afraid of is their taxes. They probably put on the album like,
Yeah.
oh shit, they coming after
Right.
me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna shut up, right?
Yeah, like you see all these rappers like, you know, they're getting older and adjust. One of my favorite things about hip hop recently has been, you know, Jay-Z, you know, there's some good and some bad to him. But when he had his kid with Beyonce, he put out a song like a day or two after the child was born. He sampled a little bit of the child like crying or gurgling, whatever, put that in the beat, and it's just him rapping about how happy he is to have this child and how Beyonce had miscarried before, and
Right.
but you know, he's like, you know, a dash of Hove and a whole glass of B and all that. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's what hip hop is
that's
all
what I was
about.
telling you about. Remember that flower? When I kept saying glory, glory.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
it's a beautiful song because it's
Yeah.
like, you know, this is a guy who's been involved in so much skullduggery, so much darkness.
Right.
You know, now, you know, for a man like Jay, not only that he's having a child, but that it's a girl.
Right.
That's going to change his entire fucking perspective on everything.
No, I agree
Like,
with that.
You know, by the time that girl's 20, we will be dealing with a different kind of Jay-Z.
Of
Absolutely.
He'll be like the new Bill Cosby.
course. Right.
You know, because he's going to have to realize, you know, when his daughter starts taking home boys who've done nothing but listen to his records
Yeah,
all
that's
their
something.
lives and
Wow.
expect her to be like the girls he talks about on those records, that's going to change his shit up.
Isn't that something?
You know, and I think he already understands it. You
No,
know?
he does. I bet he does.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, reality is a motherfucker.
Isn't it
It really
something?
is.
The reality of everything, even racism and all that. You know what? I was telling somebody, I said racism to me is like a fake thing. Well, let's put it like this. Racism may be real because you got to have some money to be a racist.
Yeah.
But bigotry
Yes.
is fake. It is something that the media is putting out to make people think. Because this is what I'm saying.
Poverty leads to bigotry.
And,
Because when the
I
money,
can
when the
see.
paper is not right, cats get pissed.
and they
Everything's
start blaming
good
something,
if
right?
the money's there. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because, like, say you got, you know, black people killing black people, white people killing white people. To me, if a true racist, a true bigoted person would protect what they think is their kind to the highest, like, you ain't gonna be black and killing a bunch of black people over foolishness.
Oh.
What is that?
Oh, it's a picture someone sent to me. Someone doesn't like
Okay.
Easter,
Oh.
so it's a picture of a bunny,
Oh,
like that's been
horrible.
run over with
Oh.
like a,
Oh.
you know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
But you know what I'm saying? If you're trying to protect a certain
No,
thing,
I think I understand. We had a conversation about
And you
this.
know why the Easter Bunny exists? The Easter Bunny exists so that children can enjoy Easter without having to learn about the crucifixion at a young age. The Easter Bunny is for kids that are too young to know about what Christ went through, you know?
but yeah,
Like, you know, you watch, you know, every Easter I like to watch The Passion of the Christ just to remind myself. Because, you know, if you've never seen that movie, that shit keeps it real. Like, that is, the killing of Jesus in The Passion of the Christ is one of the most brutal scenes ever put in film, you know? And it's very simple, but it's like, he's getting whipped with these, like, whips that have, like, little pieces of metal attached to it. You can see, like, slow motion, the whip hitting his flesh and then pulling back and taking bits of flesh and blood off with it, you know?
I've never seen that movie.
me either.
And just thinking about it, I feel like an asshole for not going to church today. Except I know that this is all God's church,
Sure it is.
you know?
Yeah.
I guess we ain't supposed to talk about the racism thing.
Oh, no,
The what?
please. I love
Race-
talking about
race
racism.
thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he threw me off.
I'm sorry.
I like.
You went from
God
that
damn
to
it.
the Easter Bunny. I was
The
like,
spirit
whoa.
done came upon you.
Okay, yeah, right. Come on, guys. It's welcome at any time.
I done been to the mountaintop.
It's welcome anytime.
Oh Lord.
But anyway, that just happened to be.
No, that was a text. Oh man, that was horrible.
Hey, do you really want me to call this guy?
Sure, absolutely.
You know what it'll be.
I know.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we may keep this going for another session, but I see that the battery is getting low. Apparently, the batteries in this the Philips voice tracer, which I paid $35 for and which paid for itself.